certain bit. You know, the 3 people that
Yeah,
were there.
the distillery.
Yeah, maybe that was them, but that was never addressed. The glowing dice at the start, what would have happened if we took it? Why give us an option if it didn't have an impact?
They're just... I mean, so it is possible for a game to have like a problem with good decisions that don't matter. Like, I was just talking about this the other day with my friend. Mass Effect has a good example of it. I think this is in Mass Effect 2. You have the option to, like, sterilize the Krogans because they're going to, like, breed and take over the galaxy that way, kind of. And so it's a decision which it's moral. You're like, oh god, what do I do? What do I do? And you're worried more about the decision and less about the impact of the decision. Because most video game decisions, you make the decision based off of what you perceive the impact will be. And that's not necessarily always a good thing. And so this game, I think, like, the dice thing was interesting in that way, but again, it wasn't like an important decision, so it kind of undercuts that.
Yeah, like, it literally had no impact. Literally.
Yeah.
It had 0 impact on the game experience.
As far as we could tell.
There was no reason for that to be in the game. Which I know it's a small thing, but it's kind of paints it's a perfect example of what this game is. You know, that first decision is amazing foreshadowing, because
I think it's just supposed to be like an immersive thing, like you're role playing or whatever. But
it's your decision.
I don't know. It
might not have an impact, but what would you do? Well, it's a dice. I don't give a fuck. Leave it.
It doesn't work. No. Yeah. Yep. They're not big enough decisions to matter.
I mean, yeah. I just wish that there was some kind of just urgency in anything. At no point does anyone get freaked out about anything. When they saw that skeleton, they were all like...
Right. I don't have a motivating source.
When do you know when they came out?
I don't have a... Yeah.
And they were like really distraught.
Freaked out. We gotta go.
I would have thought it was because they saw a glowing skeleton, not because he's got a job.
Right. They escaped from a glowing skeleton chasing
But now he's got a job.
As a truck driver. Yeah.
Why does that matter? Who cares? I don't care. Do you care?
You haven't given us a reason to care yet.
Oh, God.
It's...
Like I said, bad is the wrong word. But I'm trying to think of the correct word if I was to sum up this game. Unimportant is probably the word I'd use. Nothing in this game seems to have any meaningful impact on anything.
Kind of forgettable. Yeah. Vague.
This is why... This is a perfect example of what was happening in the late 90s with adventure games. So for anyone watching this who doesn't have a massive experience with the point-and-click adventure games, you won't remember this, but in the late 90s, everyone was making adventure games. Everyone. It was like the FPS of today. Or the RPG, I guess now. Sandbox. Perfect as everyone's making sandbox. It's like the sandbox game of today.
Or a MOBA, maybe.
Everyone back in the day were making point-and-click adventures. But the sad part was, 95% of them fucking sucked. Because the leading pioneers in the industry, like LucasArts, had a distinct feel to their games. And all of the others didn't. And this is an example of one of those... It seems like a game that could have come from the late 90s. That were trying to compete with the monsters that were LucasArts and Sierra to a point. And it just didn't quite... It doesn't quite get the nuances of making a good point and click.
Maybe. It's not really... I mean, unlike most other point and click adventure games, this one is just it's a walking simulator story. Because there's no inventory, no items, no puzzles.
It's a perfect example of if you were to compare it to a Telltale game. A Telltale game is exactly like this.
it's a Telltale game without the decision and with no branches.
Because we were actually talking about this the other week. The reason Telltale games work so well is because they're not actually games. But the reason they do so well is because of the dialogue and the characters.
They are interactive.
And it's just, they're interesting. You know, take The Wolf Among Us. The characters were insanely well designed. The dialogue was gripping and, you know, mattered. And in this, this is the same type of game in the fact that it's not actually a game. You know, you don't pick up any objects and rub them on anything else like on any other adventure game.
Right.
But there's none of that gripping dialogue.
And that's not inherently a bad thing.
No, certainly not.
It's just...
I mean, there's nothing wrong with Telltale games. They found their niche.
It's niche.
And they do it well. These guys, unfortunately, don't do it that well. Not badly, but not well. It's just kind of, like you said, forgettable. I could happily...
Like, I think a lot of these scenes in this game, it seems weird to say that you could remove the little gameplay there is, but a lot of these scenes, I think, would have been a lot better if they're just like cutscenes. Yeah. If I wasn't forced to make weird decisions, if I was just watching some exposition,
it could have been an indie movie.
Might have made it a little more cogent. Yeah. Yeah.
It could have absolutely... In fact, it probably would have been easier...
Potentially.
...to make an indie movie out of this game. Because the game part of it... I know that Telltale games aren't games, but they at least have some kind of aspect of them that make it feel like an interactive experience. With this, it just feels like a movie that you're playing. No decision. They've already got this set pattern.
With a mouse click.
Yeah, like it seems this. It seems like the developers clearly in their mind knew which direction they wanted this game to go at every point in the game, which means you don't actually have any effect on anything. Which means you're not playing it. You're just going with going through the motions. You know. Yeah.
I wonder. So I have such a high amount of confusion about what's going on in this game. Like, even now, sitting looking back, I don't know why or what things are happening. Right. I wonder if they're trying to do like a Dark Souls thing, where it's deliberately mysterious. It's like, you just have to click on everything and read all the items and infer things on your own. I'm like, oh, no, don't do that in a slow walking game. Like, if this doesn't... I'm not going to travel from point A to point B just for maybe a bit of flavor and color in the world.
At least Dark Souls has all the fighting.
Exactly.
I mean...
It has RPG elements. I don't know.
This is just... I'm going to say it. This game isn't very good. It's not.
I didn't enjoy it. I didn't have fun.
No, I really didn't. Throughout the entirety of that last act, I was begging for it to end. And ironically, it was the longest one by far.
Yep. We need to do I think I found out recently I own Grim Fandango. I've never played it.
You'll have to play that.
So that would be a fun one to do.
With the way that's...
Yeah. My point is, we need to play good games.
That's why I can't wait to get back to Minecraft episode 2. I enjoyed Minecraft.
Yeah, that'll be good.
I think that was the only game we've played so far that I genuinely enjoyed. Grim Fandango, though, if we ever do that, you'll have to play it because I know it inside and out. So basically how that's going to work is... It's like if we ever played a Monkey Island, you'll have to do it the playing.
Right.
Essentially how that one's going to work is that I'm pretty much going to tell you nothing about what to do. It's basically me going to be joining in with talking about the world building and stuff.
I think, though, I will probably be hasty on the trigger for asking for hints just to keep the gameplay smooth.
Well,
I don't want to be stuck at zero because that's a big problem with these games. I think it's just they can slow down and stall pretty easily, and as entertainers, it can really mess with their momentum.
Sometimes with Grim Fandango, that's probably okay as well because some of the puzzles can be a bit obscure. Maybe is the word. A bit.
I was playing a point and click demo the other day. I thought of you. There was a puzzle where you're walking through this room and you see a box and you pick up the box and it has a 4x4 grid of buttons with weird symbols on it, zodiac symbols and all sorts of stuff. I'm like, okay, so I gotta keep my eye out for these symbols. And I continue playing the game. Much later, I figure out that in the room next to that room with the box, the background is a bookshelf, a bunch of bookshelves, and I notice the bookshelves are 4x4. Some of the shelves have books in them, some of them don't have books in them, and that was the key. Like, I had to basically hit the buttons corresponding to the shelves with books on them. And then there's nothing linking the two items other than that they were both 4x4 grids. And it was like,
so,
I don't know, I didn't
anyone
like
who
it.
likes point-and-click adventures and likes watching us play, I'd recommend going to watch Mostly Walking. I've talked about it before, Day9 does one. And he made a great point. He was saying that if you make a point-and-click, you have to decide at the start which two roads you want to go down. You either want to go down one road where you have a hint system for when you get stuck, and because not a lot of people like getting stuck in point-and-click. They just want to progress the story. They like puzzles, but they don't want to get stuck for an hour. So have a hint system that will help you when you need. Or you go down the other path, which is the Walking Dead
good
path,
point and click,
where there are no amazingly hard puzzles. It's just exposition. They're the two paths that you need to go down.
All the Telltale games basically don't even have puzzles.
Take Deponia. Deponia needed a hint system. But Minecraft doesn't, because it's very linear.
So the hint system's a little broad, because you can have an explicit hint system, like Machinarium, where you literally a button labeled hint and you click it and it gives you a hint. Or Deponia kind of had this of
people.
Like an implicit hint system. Like a good example being the puzzle you figured out where each of those guys is wearing like the hat for their housetop and that's the thing. And that's the hardest one to do. It's the best one to do in my opinion. That makes the best gameplay.
Certainly.
But making those hints so that the player notices them without making it like in your face is really tricky.
Sam and Max actually did it pretty well, the Telltale game, because that was the early Telltale games when they were actually trying to do the puzzles and stuff. And if you talk to Sam or Max, I can't remember, if you talk to the other guy, he gives you hints.
Yeah.
Easy way to do
great.
it. Doesn't disrupt the play. And not massive hints like you need to do this, but it was like, oh, maybe we need to do this. And something you may not have thought of. Which they had that kind of in Deponia when you were talking to Willie or whatever his name was, your best friend.
Sure.
But it wasn't explicit enough.
What I absolutely hate is when you talk to somebody and they're very clearly dropping the hint at what you need. It's like, oh man, I wish I could sleep well at night. Like, okay, so I need to bring him something. And then it's like, I have a hammer. Do I hit him with a hammer? Nope. Oh, I've got sleeping pills. Wait, it's not sleeping pills? And it's like, oh, I have to do this obscure item and use it in some way I never would have thought of. It's like, I knew what I needed to do. Like, the world game logic was just too shit to support it.
This is the problem with point-and-click. It's the problem point-and-click adventures have always had. It's the fact that the game only makes sense in the developer's eyes. The developer uses his kind of logic, and sometimes you can't figure out...
Broken Age had a couple things like that.
Sometimes you can't figure out a puzzle fluidly without knowing the developer's mind. And you can't possibly do that. That's why the LucasArts games were so good, because it transcended that. You didn't need any of that. They were just they were refined so well that you didn't need to do any of that. You knew what you needed to do at most times. The Dig is also another good game. I don't know whether
I don't think I've heard of that one.
The Dig is very, very good. We could maybe, in fact, that's probably a good one to play. You'll like the art style a lot.
Is it on Steam, maybe?
Yeah, it's on Steam.
I'll look now.
I think it's like a $5 or something.
If it's old, it's probably cheap.
No,
Dig
the Dig.
or Die.
Yeah,
Dig, $6.
So that's...
Oh, it looks very Sierra.
Yeah, it is a Sierra game.
Oh, okay.
So that's why. It's or it's a LucasArts game. One of the two. I think it's Sierra though, because you can actually die.
LucasArts. It's LucasArts.
Yeah. Oh, is it LucasArts?
Yeah, according to Steam.
Oh, I think I was gonna say maybe you can't die. I thought you could die in this game, and that's what pointed me to Sierra.
Came out in '95.
Brilliant game. I watched Day9 play it. It's a great game.
I'll add it to the wish list.
But yeah, anyone who wants to play a good point and click, play Monkey Island. Monkey Island is so good. I know it's a cliche answer, but my God, is it a good game? Grim Fandango, in my opinion, one of the best games of all time. Insane world building. The Longest Journey, who anyone who listens to the podcast knows is my favourite game of all time.
Maybe I should replay it with you.
No,
wait, what did I
Dreamfall.
play?
Yeah, you played Dreamfall.
Dreamfall: The Longest Journey. Yes, I played it for 5 hours.
The Longest Journey is the one before.
The prequel.
So if we ever want to play The Longest Journey, again, you'll have to play it. So what we could probably do there is I could just let you sign into my Steam account.
Honestly, although it might be fine just letting you play it, like just having a smooth playthrough that we both just comment on.
In fact,
like I can be like, "Oh, that's so weird."
I haven't played Dreamfall in a while, so if you want to play that next time, I'd happily. I love Dreamfall; it's one of my favorite games of all time.
I'm fine for anything. I definitely think we should do Minecraft sooner rather than later. But
maybe we can do 2 in 1 week if we're not busy. I mean, you're busy all week, right?
Sure.
You're not busy all week. Right?
I mean. Right, not this week. Next week I'm pretty... But yeah, this week I'm completely open.
So this week, maybe tomorrow we can do another one. One that I know
Works
is
for
good.
Me.
I'll happily play
Yes.
I'll happily play... Maybe... I don't know whether we should play The Longest Journey or Dreamfall, though. The Longest Journey's longer.
Longest Journey...
It's much longer. But it's better. But it's longer.
Yeah. Well, it's also the first, so like we should do the first one first, and then we can have the option of doing the second one if we care to.
In fact, Longest Journey has one of the most iconic female characters in gaming history, April Ryan.
Oh.
April Ryan was, back in the day when the game first came out, she was critically acclaimed among critics because she was the first strong...
She wasn't Lara Croft.
No, she was the first strong independent woman. She was one of the first strong independent women in gaming. She didn't take crap from no one in that game.
That's cool then. I feel the problem now with a lot of games is like strong character is really one-dimensional. Like their defining trait is they're strong.
Oh no,
with
April Ryan's quite interesting because basically her story is she's an artist and she goes to college, but she's fell out of love with art, so she doesn't know where her life's going. She don't know where she's going to end up. She's scared, and she's kind of losing her way. She tumbles from day to day, doing the same routine, kind of miserable, and then something happens, and she gets opened up to this whole new world where she is a savior. So her life is important again. So she is a strong character in the fact that she's very strong-willed, but she also, unlike most of the recent female characters in gaming, she does have that human side where she's worried and she's scared. So yeah, you see her again in Dreamfall actually.
Dimensions.
Yeah. And in Dreamfall you see April Ryan again. I don't know whether you would have seen her 5 hours in. Did you ever get to the other place?
I got as far as like the Scottish Asian people. Like they're doing martial arts.
Oh yeah, you would have. Like, do you know the?
That's kind of right where I stopped.
Do you know when Zoe, the main character, dreams into the other world?
Okay. Yes.
You meet a woman. She's got like a spear, and she's got black hair.
Like in the city.
Yeah. You meet her in the.
Whatever the city's called.
Arcadia. It's called Arcadia, and you meet you might have remembered her actually. She's April Ryan. She's from the first game.
See, I played it over a year ago.
Well, April Ryan's in Dreamfall.
I wouldn't.
She was the main character in The Longest Journey. So yeah, maybe we could play that tomorrow. We could play Minecraft next week.
That would be sweet.
The Longest Journey's graphics are a bit hard to muscle down if you're not used to it.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a game bookmarked here I started playing it and it was very difficult. It's a point-and-click adventure called The Dream Machine. It's another claymation game.
I can see it.
I don't know. We might want to give it a shot, but I think it'll be under the category of likely bad.
This is the thing. I think I want to take a break from experimental games for a couple of weeks.
Okay.
For games
that's totally cool with me.
Like, I think we should just pick games we know are critically good.
Sure.
So, I do want to play Monkey Island at some point. I refuse to not play Monkey Island on Play with Ultra because it is the epitome of what a point and click is.
Okay.
We don't know, and the great thing about Monkey Island is you don't really have to play them in order because they do lead on from each other, kind of, but you don't really need to know a massive amount of the previous games. So
cool.
You can actually get Monkey Island 3 on Scum VM for free. So if you'll have to play that because I know every intricacy of that game. I've played that game about 19 times, so I know every single answer to every single puzzle. But yeah, but I think to wrap this up, I think I could forget about Kentucky Route Zero. It's an easily forgettable.
I agree. Yep.
That's all there is to it, really. I mean, for an indie game, not so bad. We played it for about 3.5.
Production values were fantastic. 4 hours.
For about 4 hours, and it's not even finished yet. That's good length.
Yeah.
Well, it would have been a good length if it was filled with good stuff, but again, not a bad length at all. Especially and for an indie game, they did better than most AAA developers did back in the day, when there was a ton of these shit. But yeah, forgettable is probably the way I'd put it, unfortunately. So there we go.
There we go. Thanks for watching, guys.